You're training 3, 4, maybe even 5 times a week. You're watching football videos. You're doing extra drills after team practice. And yet, when match day comes, you still lose the ball under pressure. You still make the same mistakes. You still look at other players and wonder, how are they improving so fast while I'm stuck? And that's one of the most frustrating feelings in football. Because working hard is supposed to pay off. But here's the painful truth. Effort alone doesn't guarantee improvement. In fact, some players spend years reinforcing the exact habits that keep them average. And if you're not careful, you could be one of them. Today I'm going to show you the real reason you keep training, but never improve. And more importantly, how to finally break through. Because chances are, your problem isn't a lack of commitment. It's that you've been improving the wrong way. Problem reframe. Most footballers believe improvement is simple. Train more, work harder, repeat, and eventually you'll become elite. But football doesn't reward activity. Football rewards adaptation. You don't get better because you trained. You get better because your training forced you to change. That's a massive difference. Because it's possible to train every day and still stay exactly where you are. Think about it. If a player spends 6 months making the same passing decisions, using the same weak foot limitations, avoiding the same uncomfortable situations, what exactly is changing? Nothing. They're not training growth, they're training familiarity, and familiarity feels productive, but it doesn't build better footballers. Hidden cause. 1. You're training what you're already good at. This is probably the biggest trap in football development. Players naturally gravitate toward what makes them feel competent. If you're a winger with great dribbling, you dribble. If you're comfortable finishing, you shoot. If you're right-footed, you avoid your left. Because success feels good. Failure doesn't. But improvement lives in discomfort. The players who improve fastest aren't necessarily the most talented. They're the ones willing to repeatedly expose their weaknesses, because every weakness you're avoiding today becomes a ceiling tomorrow. Ask yourself honestly, what part of your game are you avoiding? First touch, scanning, weak foot passing, defending, aerial duels, decision-making, because that's probably where your biggest growth opportunity exists. Hidden cause. Number 2. You train skills, not game problems. Football isn't performed in isolation. It's performed under chaos, pressure, fatigue, limited time, uncertainty, and yet many players train in perfectly controlled environments. One cone, one touch pattern, no defenders, no decisions. Then they wonder why those skills disappear in matches. Here's the reality. Being able to execute a skill isn't enough. You have to execute it when your brain is overloaded, when someone is chasing you, when your legs are tired, when the score matters. Because football isn't a technique competition. It's a decision-making competition. The question isn't, can you do this skill? The question is, can you choose the right action at the right moment? That's a completely different challenge. Framework. How to finally break through. Let's talk solutions. Because understanding the problem means nothing if you don't change your approach. Here's the framework. Rule number 1. Train with a specific target. Most players train with vague goals. I want to get better. That's not a target. That's a wish. Instead ask, what specific problem is holding me back? Maybe you lose possession when pressed. Maybe your first touch pushes the ball too far. Maybe you hesitate before passing. Identify one bottleneck, then attack it relentlessly. Elite improvement comes from focused attention, not random effort. Rule. Number 2. Make training harder than matches. If your training feels comfortable, you're probably not growing. Add constraints. Use your weak foot only. Limit touches. Create time pressure. Train while fatigued. Force yourself into uncomfortable situations. Because adaptation happens when your current ability is challenged. Remember, comfort maintains. Challenge transforms. Rule number 3. Review your matches like a coach. This changes everything. Most players remember games emotionally. I played badly. I played well. That's useless feedback. Instead, review objectively. Count how often you scanned before receiving. Notice where possession was lost. Identify recurring mistakes. Look for patterns. Because patterns reveal problems, and problems create training priorities. Without feedback, you're guessing. With feedback, you're evolving. Rule number 4. Stop comparing your Chapter 2 to someone else's Chapter 10. Social media has destroyed perspective. You see academy players, highlight reels, insane goals, perfect edits. But you don't see the years of mistakes behind them. Comparison steals energy. Focus redirects energy. The only useful comparison is this. Are you better than you were 3 months ago? If not, adjust. If yes, keep going. Your race isn't against everyone else. It's against the version of yourself that's settling. Practical application. What this looks like in real life. Let's say you're a midfielder. You constantly lose possession under pressure. Most players would train passing for hours, and that helps. But is passing really the issue? Maybe not. Maybe you're failing to scan before receiving. Maybe your body position limits options. Maybe you panic. See the difference? The surface problem says, I need better passing. The deeper problem says, I need better information before receiving. Now training becomes smarter. You work on scanning, receiving on the half turn, checking shoulders, playing under pressure. Suddenly, you're solving the actual issue, not just the visible symptom. That's how transformation happens. Imagine you're a striker. You miss chances, so you spend hours shooting. Again, not necessarily wrong. But why are you missing? Poor composure, bad movement, late reactions, weak positioning. Without diagnosis, you'll train hard and stay stuck. With diagnosis, every session becomes intentional. The identity shift. This is where everything changes, because the players who improve fastest don't just train differently, they think differently. They stop asking, how much training am I doing? And start asking, what is this training changing? They become students of the game. Observers, problem solvers, adaptable, curious, accountable, and that's powerful, because football rewards evolution, not stubbornness. If you've been stuck for months, maybe even years, this isn't proof that you lack talent. It's information. It means your approach needs upgrading. That's good news, because approaches can change, systems can improve, habits can evolve, and breakthroughs often happen shortly after players stop doing what's comfortable and start doing what's necessary. Final message: you don't need another motivational quote. You don't need another highlight reel. You don't need to train until exhaustion just to feel productive. You need clarity, you need honesty, and you need courage. The courage to identify weaknesses, the courage to change your methods, the courage to stay patient while growth catches up. Because improvement isn't always obvious. Sometimes it looks like frustration, adjustment, temporary struggle, but underneath, you're building something stronger, smarter, more complete. So if you've been training hard and wondering why nothing is changing, don't quit. Don't assume you've reached your limit. Ask better questions. Train with purpose. Study your game. Attack your weaknesses. And trust the process long enough to let the results appear. Because the difference between the player who stays average and the player who breaks through usually isn't desire, it's direction. And now you have one. If this video helped you see your development differently, subscribe for more football content designed to help you improve faster, think smarter, and become the most dangerous version of yourself on the pitch. Your next breakthrough might be one adjustment away. Now get back to work.